Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like on PrizePicks for tonight's NBA slate on Sunday, May the 21st. We do have Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals on Sunday night, Heat and Celtics. This series is headed back to Miami with the Heat up 2-0 in this one. This has definitely been a big surprise. Miami's played really well, going on the road, getting two huge wins to start off this series. Now they get to go back home up 2-0. But I got two player props I do like from this game, guys. As always, we're going to talk through these two plays. We're going to share why I like them. Before we do get started, though, breaking down the plays, if you guys do enjoy these PrizePicks videos, if they do help you out, make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you are new to PrizePicks, if you have never checked out PrizePicks before, you can sign up and use my promo code NOAH, or just click the link in the description. When you do sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. Be sure to check them out. If you have not yet, use that code when you sign up. Get your deposit bonus. Take a look at all the props that PrizePicks has posted for tonight's NBA games. I am making this video on Saturday night, so we don't really have the full board up yet. But you can see, points, props, PRA, rebounds, assists, fantasy score, all the different categories they have. PrizePicks does offer a ton of other sports as well besides NBA. So if you like to dabble into other sports, you can make multi-sport entries on PrizePicks. It's a lot of fun. Again, guys, sign up, use that code NOAH, get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's talk through our two plays, or recap our two plays, I should say, from Saturday's video for Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, Lakers and Nuggets. We gave out two props for that game, and unfortunately, we did not hit both of our props. We only hit 1 out of 2 once again. And it was like, it was a sweat, man. I mean, we took the over on LeBron's fantasy score. LeBron had, I think, 47.4 fantasy points. We needed 51 from him. He came up like 4 fantasy points short. Wasn't the best game from LeBron. He had like 23 points. He had 12 assists. He had like 7 rebounds. I think he had like 2 turnovers. He didn't have any stocks, though. No steals, no blocks, which was definitely, that really hurt us because, those steals and blocks are worth 3 points each. And I'm pretty sure the game before, LeBron had like 4 blocks. He had like 2 steals or something. And we couldn't get any stocks from him. That definitely would have been huge if he could have gotten us like, maybe a steal or a block. Didn't get any stocks. Came up 4 fantasy points short. But we did hit the over on Michael Porter Jr.'s fantasy score. Took that at 27. MPJ had a all-around good game. He had like 11 points. I think he had a double-double. He had like 11 points, 10 rebounds. He had, I think, 5 or 6 assists too. So it was just a good game from MPJ. Pretty sure he finished with well over 30 fantasy points. We took that over 27. But yeah, again, man, we didn't catch both of our plays, just 1 out of 2. Obviously, catching 1 out of 2 plays doesn't win us anything. So kind of a frustrating day, man. It's been last 2 days, especially for that Lakers-Nuggets series. We had, for Game 2, we had Anthony Davis' fantasy score, and he lost by like less than 2 points. And then we take LeBron's fantasy score on Saturday night. LeBron, comes up just short by like 4 points, which is kind of frustrating. But we move on to Sunday, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and let's talk through the two props I do like for this one. So we're going to stick to the fantasy score category. I do have 2 fantasy score props I'm liking for this one. The first guy that I want to talk about is going to be Jaylen Brown, 36 fantasy score. And we're going to be taking the over here for Jaylen Brown. This line on Jaylen Brown, this line I think is kind of factoring in a little bit of recency bias. You look over his last 5 games, Jaylen Brown's only gone over this line in 1 out of 5 games. He has yet to go over this line in this series. He has not played that well in this series. In Game 1, he had just 34.3 fantasy points. Last game, he had just 23.3. But Jaylen Brown is going to play huge minutes here with the Celtics down 0-2 in this series. This is pretty much a must-win game for the Celtics. If they lose this one, this series is pretty much over. We all know that there has yet to be a team that has come back down 0-3. So if they lose this one, they're going to be in some serious trouble. We saw the Lakers lose on Saturday night. That series is probably done. So the Celtics, this is basically a must-win game for them. We can expect huge minutes for Jaylen Brown. So far in the playoffs, he's been averaging close to like 40 minutes per game. Last few games, he's played 38, 39, 41, 39 minutes. Typically in competitive games, he's going to play about 40 minutes. There have been some games where his minutes have got cut, either due to blowout or due to foul trouble. But barring a random blowout here, barring random foul trouble, I'm expecting about 38, 39, 40 minutes for Jaylen Brown. And this is a player that has averaged well over a fantasy point per minute all throughout his career. So far this season, he's averaged 1.16 fantasy points per minute. his per minute production, like his fantasy points per minute, have been down in the playoffs. So far in the playoffs, he's actually averaged less than a fantasy point per minute. He's only averaged 0.96 fantasy points per minute in the playoffs. But like, I don't think we can just expect that to continue. It's really odd that like the playoffs come around and like Jaylen Brown just suddenly like sucks now. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't think this is a player that we can expect to just continue to average less than a fantasy point per minute. We have a long track record of Jaylen Brown being a player that averages well over a fantasy point per minute. He has been a player that typically can do a little bit of everything when he's on the floor. He has become a little bit more scoring dependent, but we did see in game 1 of this series, he did have 9 rebounds. He did have 5 assists. Last game, he only had 4 rebounds and 3 assists, but he is a guy that can do a little bit of everything when he's on the floor. Like the game against Philly, game 7, when he went over this fantasy score line, in that game, he had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. Just an all-around really good game from Jaylen Brown kind of across the board. We've yet to really see one of those games from him in a while. I mean, he hasn't gone over this line in he's only gone over this in once out of his last 6 games. So he's definitely been struggling. But again, I don't expect Jaylen Brown to continue to be this bad. We have a long track record of him being a good player, of him being a high usage player, of him being a productive player. You know, he has had some poor shooting games lately. Like last game, he shot really, really poorly. I think he shot 7 for 23 last game, 1 for 7 from 3. You don't expect him to shoot, 30% from the field every game. Like, he's going to have a good shooting game at some point. We know the minutes are going to be there. I'm banking on Jaylen Brown, finally just playing at his normal level. It's not like we need him to go out there and be to turn into, Nikola Jokic. I mean, we need Jaylen Brown to just be Jaylen Brown. If he goes out there, plays 37, 38, 39 minutes, averages a fantasy point per minute, which he's always done throughout his career, he's going to go over a 36 fantasy score. And I have noticed that his PRA prop, a lot of his props across the board haven't really moved. They've kind of been the same this whole series. Pretty sure his PRA has been 33.5 for both the 2 games in the series. I think his points prop did come down 1. Pretty sure last game that was at 24.5, but his fantasy score last game I think was at 37. His PRA was at 33.5. His PRA is still at 33.5 today, but his fantasy score came down 1. That makes me think this fantasy score line is a bit too low here. And if you do look at Jaylen Brown this season in games where he's played 40-plus minutes, I think it's fair to assume if this game's competitive, he's going to play 40-plus minutes. There's been 17 total games this season, including the playoffs, where Jaylen Brown has played at least 40 minutes. He's over this fantasy score line in 13 out of those 17 games. In the games where he did not go over, he was just short. 35.8, 35.2, 33.1, and 32.3 fantasy points. So again, man, more times than not, when Jaylen Brown's playing close to 40 minutes, he's usually going to get more than 36 fantasy points. I expect really, really big minutes from him here in a must-win game for Boston. So that's the first play that I like for today. And then the other play that I like to pair with that on the Miami side, we're going to actually go down to Kyle Lowry's fantasy score of 21. And I like the over here for Kyle Lowry as well. We had seen a stretch of Kyle Lowry playing really, really well prior to last game. I'm pretty sure he had gone over his fantasy score prop in I think 6 straight games prior to their last game. If you look at the minutes last game for Lowry, he only played 17 minutes. That's the fewest minutes he's played all postseason. There's yet to be a game where he's played 17 minutes besides last game. I don't think that's just that's going to become the normal now. I don't think we just can expect Kyle Lowry to play 17 minutes every game. Prior to their last game, Lowry had played 28, 31, 31, 26, 25, 31, 30. He had been playing really, really big minutes, even coming off the bench. If you look at the rotations last game, it was a really weird rotation for Lowry. So he didn't sub in until there was about 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Miami played their starters. All their starters played until there was about 3.5 minutes left into the first quarter. So they really stuck with their starting unit for the first quarter. Lowry got subbed in with 3.5 minutes left, played out the rest of the first quarter. And then to start the second quarter, he only played about 3 minutes in the second quarter before he got subbed out. Never played the rest of the first half. Didn't sub back in the third quarter until there was about 5 minutes left. And then he played a good amount in the second half. He played about 10, 11 minutes in the second half. But he only played 6 minutes in the first half. That's really unlike Kyle Lowry. I don't think we just can expect Lowry to play 6 minutes again in the first half and expect him to play 17 minutes for the game. This is a player that has averaged about 24, 25 minutes per game in the playoffs. And of their playoff games so far, there's been 13 total games in the playoffs for Miami. Lowry has gone over this fantasy score line in 9 out of those 13 games. In all the games where he went over, he played at least 20 minutes. All the games where he went under, he played less than 20 minutes. The games where he went under, he played 19, 18, 18, and 17 minutes. The games where he went over, he played 24, 25, 26, 28, 28, 30, 31, 31, and 31 minutes. Again, Lowry's been playing about 24, 25 minutes per game in the playoffs. He's been pretty good in this series besides last game. He did come out shooting the ball really poorly last game. I think he shot like 0 for 5 from the field. So that's maybe why his minutes got cut. Like he just couldn't really make any shots and they just wanted to get some other guys some looks. But I think more times than not, we can bank on Kyle Lowry playing mid-20s minutes. He's been pretty productive in the playoffs so far. He's averaged about a fantasy point per minute in the postseason. He's also been really good in their home games for whatever for what that's worth. The Heat so far have played 5 games at home in the postseason. Lowry has gone over this line in all those games. 40.3, 30, 26.6, 21.3, and 25.7 fantasy points in their 5 home games in the postseason. So, and I think that kind of makes sense because a guy like Lowry really can feed off the home crowd, especially these role players, guys like Lowry, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson. These are guys that you could see play much better at home just because they can really feed off the home crowd. And Lowry has played really well at home in the postseason, gone over this line in all 5 of their home games. I think 21 fantasy score. This line is definitely too low on Lowry. It feels like an overreaction to last game. I'm pretty sure his fantasy score prop last game was 24, and then obviously he didn't hit, so now they bumped it way down. But I think they bumped it down too much. I think this line should still be like 24. I mean, I think it should be like 23.5, 24. I think 21 is too low for Kyle Lowry here. So these are the 2 props that I like for Sunday night's game, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. More than 36 fantasy score for Jaylen Brown and more than 21 fantasy score for Kyle Lowry. These are 2 props I like, taking a first look at the board on Saturday night, guys. But as always, I'm going to be sharing a few more plays for today over on Patreon. I'll be giving out some MLB plays over on Patreon along with some NBA plays as well. We did go 3 out of 3. We did hit all 3 of our MLB plays on Patreon Saturday. Unfortunately, NBA kind of treated us poorly. We took obviously the LeBron over, and then I also took Austin Reeves under 4.5 assists, and I think Reeves finished with 5 assists, and I'm pretty sure all his potential assists once again were converted into actual assists. Reeves been running really hot in the assist department. Kind of been frustrating with that one, taking his under and not hitting. Feel like it should be hitting, but we move on to Sunday. Again, if you guys want more PRIZEPICKS plays from me, check out the Patreon link down below in the description. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you guys are new to PRIZEPICKS, if you have never checked out PRIZEPICKS before, you can sign up and use my promo code NOAH. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. But that's all that I got for tonight, guys. Wish you the best of luck on this slate. Hopefully, again, we can all win some money today. And I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next video.